All right, thank you everybody for being here. Today we're going to talk about mastering the basics of nutrition for fitness goals. I'm Jessie Virga. I have a Bachelor's of Science and a PhD. We'll get into my intro a little bit later. I am the CEO and lead nutritionist of MB Fitness. Now, I do have some talking points that I'm going to be going through throughout this webinar, but I'm going to be off script a lot because it's just easier for me to explain things. Second is that I want you guys to pay attention to the color of the background of the slides. So the white backgrounds are going to go through kind of the definitions and things that I want everybody to know about nutrition before we go into the slides that have the black background, which is going to be putting this information to use. How are you going to use this nutrition information to reach your fitness goals? So again, a little about me. Sorry, the video switched there upon you, but I don't like the term holistic coach, but that is essentially what I am. I am a holistic coach. I look for natural ways to help people improve their overall health. I have a Bachelor of Science from UCSD in Cognitive Behavioral Neuroscience. I am currently in a PhD program for health psychology. I claim the name Dr. V on social media because I do have a doctorate in business. That's a specialization in Homeland Security, so a little different. I've been a certified personal trainer with NASM for a while now, going on 15 years. And then I'm not a certified nutritionist, but I do specialize in nutrition. Certified nutrition specialist, so I have a certification in nutrition, but an actual certified nutrition specialist is going to be a registered dietitian. You can get certified through NASM or ISSA or a variety of other accredited agencies, but in all reality, a registered dietitian is the license associated with making a meal plan for somebody, and they will work with your physician. So the webinar objective is basically to empower you, I guess is the best word, with a solid foundation in nutrition. So this knowledge is vital to achieving any fitness goal you may have, whether it be weight loss, muscle gain, improving your overall health, and just feeling good. By the end of this session, you will have a better understanding of the critical role nutrition plays in fitness. You'll learn about dietary components, how to calculate your basal metabolic rate or your resting rate for calories burned, and how to determine your unique caloric requirements. So whether you need to be in a deficit or you're going to maintain or you need to be in a surplus. And we're also going to talk about some common myths out there, things that I thought were no longer relevant, like carbs are bad, but they seem to still be out there. So jumping right in, I apologize if the font is a little small, but nutrition plays a pivotal role in every aspect of fitness, influencing our energy levels, recovery rate, and overall health. The right nutrition can enhance our workout performance, promote efficiency, recovery post-exercise, and optimize our long-term health and well-being. Basically, you can't do anything if you're not eating right. You can't do anything well if you're not eating right. Every activity we do, from vigorous exercise to simple tasks like breathing, requires energy. Energy comes from the food we eat, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, which are the macronutrients. These are the ones that are going to play a key role in energy production. So now I'm going to be basing this off of biological definition. So carbohydrates are our body's main source of energy, particularly during high-intensity workouts. That does not mean that we can't get energy from proteins and fats. Our body is hardwired to go for carbohydrates first. Not saying you can't change that biology, but that's how we're pre-wired. Now, proteins are essential for repairing and building tissue, including muscle, which is especially important during post-workout. Now, proteins have a million other jobs. They're not just there to repair and build tissue, but for the context of this webinar, we're only going to be talking about this one specific function of proteins. Fats support long-term energy needs, hormone production, and nutrient absorption. Now, I can talk about this all day. So a lot of people think it is like this vicious cycle. If you're overweight, your hormones are going to be out of balance. If your hormones are out of balance, you're going to gain weight. Tons of research shows that it's the former. When you start to put on excess body fat, that is when your hormones start to kind of get out of whack. And I'm not going to talk about that. I'll leave that as it is. But I just wanted to bring up that notion too. Now, yes, your hormones not being in sync could essentially cause unwanted weight gain. But generally speaking, for a majority of the population, healthy population, when you start to put on excess body fat, you're going to see those hormone issues and hormone interruption. Now, post-workout, so nutrition as recovery. So for post-workout, your body needs nutrients to repair muscle tissue and replenish energy stores. And protein helps rebuild those muscles, while carbohydrates restore energy levels. Now, there is a ton of research showing that protein and carbs after your workout will help you do two of these things, will help you recover. So I'll be posting all of the resources that I've been mentioning here on the MB Fitness website. Now, nutrition for overall health. So beyond energy and recovery, nutrition impacts our overall health. Vitamins and minerals, or micronutrients, which we'll talk about, are essential for numerous bodily functions, including immune system support, bone health, and nutrient absorption. And then obviously the concept of food as fuel. So viewing food as fuel kind of underscores the vital role nutrition plays in a fitness journey. So this perspective encourages us to make dietary choices that nourish and fuel our bodies effectively, aligning with our fitness goals. And I'm also going to mention kind of the psychology of nutrition later in the presentation. Okay, macronutrients. I will go over this just generally because I'm sure if you're attending this course, you've probably seen a ton of information on these three macronutrients. On the left here is from the Harvard Chan School of Public Health. It is kind of what a healthy eating plate should look like. Now, this might vary depending on your goals or food sensitivities or even medications that you're on, so take this with a grain of salt, pun intended. Gotta throw some jokes there, right? So proteins are the building blocks of our bodies, essential for growth and repair of tissues, including muscles. They also play a role in the production of hormones, enzymes, and antibodies. So these are the other things that I was talking about that proteins do. Examples of protein-rich foods include lean meats like chicken, fish, eggs, legumes, and dairy products like milk and cheese. Just so on the bottom there it says discuss definition, role in the body, food examples. I'm going to be covering each of those three items for each of the macronutrients. So fats. Fats provide a concentrated source of energy. They aid in the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. So our fat-soluble vitamins are going to be vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. And so fats also contribute to cell structure and function. Healthy sources of fat include avocados, nuts, seeds, fatty fish like salmon, and oils such as olive and canola. Okay, going in straight into carbohydrates now. So carbohydrates are the body's main source of energy, with their primary function being to provide fuel for physical activity in the body's metabolic functions. They are especially important for brain function. Examples of carbohydrate-rich foods are going to be fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes again. Now, I go deep into the science of carbohydrates, complex sugars, simple sugars. I wrote a really long article on the MB Fitness website on each of these macronutrients. So if you really want to get down into the nitty-gritty, I even go into the biochemistry and the cellular structure, or the structures of these macronutrients. Okay, micronutrients. So micronutrients are essentially just your vitamins and minerals. All my biochemists out there are probably going to be like, wait, there's more. We're only going to be talking about these two today. So vitamins are organic compounds that our bodies need in small quantities for various roles, from producing energy to ensure proper cell function. There, again, are two types of vitamins. You have your fat-soluble vitamins, which again is going to be vitamin A, D, E, and K. And then you have your water-soluble vitamins, which are going to be B vitamins and vitamin C. Examples, again, of vitamin-rich foods include fruits and vegetables, whole grains, dairy products, and lean meats. Now, for all my vegan warriors out there, or my keto warriors out there, yes, you can argue the point that you can get these vitamins in various forms that don't include carbohydrates or that don't include animal products. Again, this is just going to be an overarching webinar. Now, for minerals are inorganic substances which are required for, again, several bodily functions, including bone structure, nerve function, and the production of hormones. They are categorized as major minerals. So your major minerals are going to be calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, sodium, potassium, chloride, and sulfur. And some of those are electrolytes if you didn't know. And trace minerals. So your trace minerals are going to be iron, manganese, copper, iodine, zinc, cobalt, fluoride, and selenium. I want to make a note here on selenium. Selenium is extremely important for cardiovascular system and the muscle fibers that make up your heart. I worked with a cardiologist for a very long time, and I worked at the hospital down in San Diego. And he was screaming from the rooftops, people aren't getting enough selenium, which can be found in things like Brazil nuts and animal products. So your chicken, your beef, those have a really high amount of selenium in it, which is great. And it is my theory, and this is my theory, there's no science out there. I do believe selenium deficiencies are a contributing factor to some of the fatalities we've seen in the bodybuilding industry. A lot of people aren't focused on such a trace mineral, but it's extremely important. So I highly recommend that that you look into selenium. Again, I did write an article about this if you want to learn more about it and where exactly to find it. It is extremely important. But going back to just minerals in general, so examples of mineral-rich foods include like your leafy greens, your dairy products, meat, cereals, nuts, and seeds. Okay, basal metabolic rate. So now I'm going to kind of get into some math here, but don't worry, I just wanted to show you guys the formula for this. I will be offering a copy of these slides to include all of my notes after the presentation. So you guys will be getting an email about that if you want to download it. So we have our basal metabolic rate. So the basal metabolic rate, or BMR, is the number of calories your body needs to perform basic functions at rest. These are going to be things like breathing, maintaining your body temperature, digesting your food. Essentially, it's the minimum amount of energy required to keep your body functioning while at rest. So if you don't do anything all day, if you just sit on the couch and watch webinars, which is great, you're learning, but if you're just sitting on the couch not doing anything, or for whatever reason, if you are not active, the only thing that you really need to keep your body going is your basal metabolic rate. Now, factors that affect your BMR are going to include your age. So BMR slows as you age. It's going to include your sex. Men generally have a higher BMR than women due to more muscle mass. Your weight is another factor. So more body mass requires more energy, obviously. And then body composition, so muscle tissue burns more calories than fat, and there are genetic factors. This formula does not take genetic factors into account, and I will say if you are a part of the trans community and you are taking some sort of hormones, these numbers might be skewed because of the introduction of those hormones, so I highly recommend you talk to your doctor and get with a registered dietitian if you are looking to figure out what your BMR is. Now, the BMR is calculated a few different ways, but the most commonly used method is the Mifflin-St. Jean equation, which is what you see here. I made it easier for you guys. I did make an online calculator, so it's at mbfitnessusa.com/BMR calculator. It's entirely free. There's a few different calculators on there, including a macro calculator. But all you have to do is you punch in your age, your weight, your sex, and it will pop out your BMR. And then we'll get into some other factors of the BMR. So understanding your BMR can help you determine how many calories you need in a day to maintain, lose, or gain weight. It's a fundamental factor in managing energy balance and achieving your fitness goals. So you need to know what your calories burnt at rest are, because you should not be going lower than that for the average person. I know there are some bodybuilders out there that put themselves in extreme deficit, or athletes in general that might put themselves in an extreme deficit. Those are unique factors, and they work with coaches that specialize in that to make sure that they are maintaining biological functions efficiently. Okay, total daily energy expenditure. I normally just say total daily expenditure, or TDEE. So total daily energy expenditure is the number of calories you burn each day. So it takes into account your BMR and additional energy used during physical activity and digestion. So that's what I meant earlier when I was talking about digestion being one of your bodily functions. It's equated during this TDEE. So this is going to be thermic effect of food, which is so small. It's so minuscule usually. There are studies that are all over the place with this, but basically your total daily expenditure is going to add the calories you need to your BMR. So BMR is the minimum, right? Then it goes based on how active you are. So to calculate your total daily energy expenditure from BMR, you have to multiply your BMR by an activity factor. So the activities are sedentary, which is little to no exercise, lightly active, which is light exercise 1 to 3 times per week, moderately active, which is exercise or sports 3 to 5 times per week, very active, which is 6 to 7 times per week, and super active, which is going to be very hard exercise or a physical job plus exercise 2 times a week. So if you have a labor-intensive job, but you're still going to the gym every day or a few times a week, but you're doing 2 a days, you're working and then you're going to the gym, that's going to be in that super active category. Now, again, the BMR calculator will do this for you, so you can choose to get your baseline, you can choose to get your actual total daily energy expenditure. So your baseline basal metabolic rate is not something that you should go under, which I've said already. So then you need to calculate, how active are you? Now, BMR is like if you were just laying down, not doing anything, not moving, not getting up to go to the bathroom, not getting up to go get something to eat. That is your BMR. But most people who don't do much would be considered sedentary, and they would multiply their BMR by 1.2. So just a little bit over the BMR is what they should be consuming to maintain. We'll get into that a little bit later. So on the right is the energy balance. Super simple. I know I'm kind of blocking the bottom, but if your calories consumed equals your calories burned, you're going to maintain your weight. If you are consuming more than you're burning, you're going to gain weight. And if you are consuming less than you're burning, then you're going to lose weight. I am a big fan of not reducing food. I'd rather give somebody a really awesome macro, a really awesome diet plan, and then when we need to get them into the deficit, we increase the activity. Now, don't get me wrong, you will get to a point where you have to reduce your caloric intake, but cutting food rather than increasing activity is actually shown to be less sustainable. So people are less likely to stay on their diet, and you might have experienced this. If I have coaches on here, you might have had clients that just fall off the wagon, and it's because the diet isn't sustainable. It's miserable. They're not eating enough. They want to binge eat, they want to snack, and then they're right back to where they started, or they're in even worse shape. The Biggest Loser is a prime example of this. So in my opinion, and what I see has the most success with all of my clients, and I've trained over the years over 2,000 clients. I usually train people in groups. Sometimes I do one-on-one. But what I see helps the folks be most successful is when we are increasing the activity rather than decreasing the food. Now, obviously, you'll get to a point where the activity can't go up anymore, and then you have to start working down on the food. But it takes a while for you to get to that plateau, essentially. And that leads me right into this, which is going to be determining your caloric requirements. So the basic principle of weight change is grounded in the concept of caloric surplus and deficit. So a caloric surplus is when you consume more calories than your body uses, which leads to weight gain. Conversely, a caloric deficit happens when you consume fewer calories than your body needs, resulting in weight loss. We just talked about that. That's essentially the definition. So adjusting your calories based on your fitness goals. So depending on your fitness goals, you can adjust your caloric intake. If your goal is to lose weight, you would aim to create a deficit. Like I said, we would increase activity ideally. For weight gain, you would aim for a caloric surplus. But if you just want to maintain your weight, you would aim to consume an amount of calories exactly equal to your total daily expenditure. And I cannot stress this enough, the quality of your food matters. So while quantity of calories you consume is important, the quality of these calories is extremely important. A Big Mac is going to hit all the food groups, but it's probably terrible quality. It is terrible quality. So this is going to refer to the nutritional value of the food you eat. So high quality calories come from nutrient dense food that provides vitamin, minerals, and other nutrients your body needs. So consuming high quality calories can give you a positive impact on your overall health, fitness, and well-being. Again, you're just going to feel better about yourself. If you're not used to eating whole foods, whether you don't have access to them or because it's just too expensive, then that really breaks my heart. And I do work with a few organizations out there that can provide healthier foods to people that might not live near a grocery store. So if you want more information on that, please send me an email or DM me on Instagram. I'll leave my contact information at the end. But eating high quality foods is really where you want to get your calories from. Okay, so the role of hydration, I obviously had to throw this in there. So obviously water is a vital component for our bodies and plays a key role in many functions. It's essential for maintaining body temperature, lubricating joints, and delivering nutrients to cells, flushing out waste products. These are all the things that water does. It also helps support physical performance. It can even impact mental sharpness. Now, the breaking down of fat or lipolysis, if you see cis in a word, generally that means that it's going to be some sort of process that involves water. So if you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, you're eating right and you're exercising, your body is going to be less efficient at burning body fat or delivering nutrients to your cells if you aren't drinking water. Now, I specialize in weight loss and rehabilitation, so I will make tons of notes about weight loss, but water, you need water. Now there is a guide for hydration. So hydration and how much water you need is based on your body size, your activity level, and the climate, right? If you live in the desert, it's 100 degrees here today where I live, I'm going to need more water today. The general guideline is to aim for about 2 liters or 8 glasses of water per day. Obviously, you're physically active, you live in hot climates, you're going to need more. There has been a ton of research that wildly discredits the need for a gallon of water or 8 glasses a day. However, it is a good starting point. I recommend going with the hydration chart or the urine chart. Now, yes, if you're taking vitamins or if you're taking certain supplements or medications, it could change the color of your urine. So the 8 glasses a day is a good starting point for people. I recommend using a urine chart again, but if you are taking things that might influence the color of your urine and skew the hydration chart, the best thing to do is talk to your doctor. Okay, so the psychology of nutrition, this is kind of my bread and butter here, and I'll explain a little bit about this. But the psychology of nutrition refers to the study of how our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs influence our eating behaviors. It's an important aspect of nutrition as it can greatly impact our food choices, eating habits, and overall relationship with food. Relationship with food is a big proponent here. So understanding this can help us develop healthier eating habits and make better food choices that align with our fitness goals. So I'm just going to read my notes here and then I'm going to talk a little bit about this. But so our psychological state can greatly impact our food choices and eating habits. For instance, stress, boredom, or emotions can lead to overeating or choosing unhealthy foods. Now, some people have the opposite issue. When they're super stressed, they just don't eat, which is just as bad. And on the other hand, positive emotions and mindful eating can lead to healthier choices and a better relationship with food. And the last bullet there, role in achieving and maintaining fitness goals. So the psychology of nutrition also plays a key role in achieving and maintaining fitness goals. Understanding the psychological triggers that lead to unhealthy eating habits can help individuals develop strategies to overcome these barriers. This can lead to more sustainable eating habits and a greater likelihood of achieving and maintaining fitness. So I wanted to kind of tell a little story here. I have always been an athlete. I competed in my first show when I was 16 back in New York. One of my first jobs was working at Gold's Gym under a phenomenal champion, U.S. national champion bodybuilder, Dave Pomponio out in New York. Really set me up for success in putting fitness and health at the forefront of my mind because I didn't really come from a health-conscious family. So, well, yeah, we'll leave it at that. So I've always been super active in the military. I was super active. I was the command fitness leader. I was always maintained a healthy lifestyle. And then a few years ago, actually 2 years ago, I had an onslaught of medical issues that required me to be put on medication, and the combination of the medical ailments and the medication made me gain 75 pounds. I had never been that heavy before in my life. And as I was gaining weight, my mental health just took a nosedive. I was struggling with my PTSD, and it was a nightmare. So it was like I was gaining weight from all of the medical stuff, but then I like doubled the amount of weight I was gaining because my mind wasn't right. And I got lazy, and I was embarrassed to go into the gym, and I just wasn't active. And honestly, I just woke up one day and I was like, I am tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of eating like shit. I'm tired of not feeling like myself. I'm embarrassed to go outside. I'm super self-conscious all of a sudden. I've never been self-conscious before. And it really hit me. And this is where the psychology of nutrition, this is before I had my degree, or was pursuing my degree in health psychology. And then one day I just woke up. Cody Alford is a big mentor, I guess you could say, of mine. I'm a huge fan of his. And he really put me in the mindset that you just got to go and get it, right? You just have to. I just woke up one day and I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm tired of being unhealthy. I don't care what's going on medically. Like, I'm done. I'm not taking this medication. I don't recommend doing this, but I went to my doctor and I was like, I want to get off of this medication. Like, I'm so tired of this. But I started getting up. I started working out. And I traveled a lot at that time up until recently for work. So no matter where I was hitting the gym. I was going for walks. I bought a bunch of workout equipment so I could do workouts at home. I just ended the excuses, and I lost 50 pounds. And a part of that was my relationship with food. I told myself that you need to eat healthy if you want to reach your goals. And it got to the point where I was like, I looked forward to eating that salad. I looked forward to eating grilled chicken. I love grilled chicken, right? I could eat that all day, every day. I've been eating it since I was 16. I love it. And I learned to love these healthy, whole foods, and that mindset change affected my behavior. And that's really the big thing. It's not just your mind, but it's how your mind affects your behavior. So I was able to change my behavior and lose 50 pounds. Now, in my mind, I have 30 more pounds to go, but I'm so excited about it, and I am so motivated. It's just taking that first step, just waking up one day or sitting down and saying, you know what, I'm tired of this. I want to build more muscle, or I'm tired of this. I want to lose this body fat. That's really all it takes. And honestly, that mindset change and changing my behavior, I was able to eventually get off that medication because my health was improving. Now, some diagnosis, like I was diagnosed with PCOS, that's not going to go away, but I was able to make it better. I was able to put a foot forward. And that is the psychology of nutrition, no matter what your fitness goal is. So yeah, cool, I'm losing body fat, but like, what's the next step for me, right? I'm going to continue on the path of being an athlete. So there's a lot of things that go into that. It's not just about losing weight, it's about maintaining, gaining muscle, things like that. And it all starts with how you're perceiving your diet, your nutrition, your overall life, your behaviors, and having a positive outlook. Now, I will say there are some things that are harder to combat, like eating disorders and things and those sorts of things. So, I always recommend and I always advocate for talking to your healthcare provider, talking to, a certified psychologist or a mental health provider, getting the help that you need, because essentially, even though I made that mind shift, I still went back and talked to my doctor. Even doctors need doctors, right? So it might be easier said than done, but the fact that you're watching this webinar is kind of like halfway there, because you're already fueling the fire to get yourself motivated. Sorry, a little sidebar. I just wanted to share that with you guys, because it can happen to anybody, even athletes, even people who specialize in this, and it's just all about how you bounce back from it. Okay, so here's some common myths. I still hear these to this day, and it's crazy to me because I feel like there's so much information on social media that these should be debunked, but then I realize there's also a ton of information on social media that isn't true. And not a lot of people are actually going to scientific journals, whether they don't know where to find them or they don't know how to read them. So let's talk about some of these myths and misconceptions. Myth number 1, eating late at night can lead to weight gain. Now, it's not when you eat that matters, but it's the total amount of calories you consume and burn in a day that impacts your weight gain or weight loss. Now, I love intermittent fasting, so this is not going to touch on that. And I will say this, eating late can sometimes lead to overeating, especially if you skipped meals earlier in the day. But the active eating at night itself does not cause weight gain. Now, there is a ton of research, actually, I think coming out of Stanford, kind of in the Huberman realm, that is looking at the times of day that you eat and how your digestion is affected based on your circadian rhythm. I'm not going to get into that. If you're a night worker and your first meal is at 8 p.m., that doesn't automatically mean that what you eat is going to be weight gained. So that's essentially what this myth is talking about. Myth 2, all fats are bad. I really hope that people aren't still thinking this, but just in case, not all fats are created equal. So while it's true that excess intake of saturated fats and trans fats can increase your risk of heart disease, healthy fats like monounsaturated and polyunsaturated, keyword is unsaturated, found in foods like avocados, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish are beneficial for your health and should be included in your diet. Now for me, I eat salmon or tuna a couple times a week, and then I have avocados in between there, and then I have almost daily almonds or cashews. I have some sort of nut in there, but there's also tons of other options to get your healthy fats. I mean, even a little bit of olive oil is not bad. Just, don't fry your food kind of thing. All right, moving on. Myth 3. Carbs can make you fat. Gosh, I'm going to get some flack from the keto warriors out there, but carbohydrates, like any other macronutrient, can contribute to weight gain if consumed in excess. If you're eating too much of it, if you're eating too much of anything, you're going to gain weight, usually. However, complex carbs, that's going to be your whole grains, your fruits, your vegetables, and your legumes, provide vital energy and nutrients and are important for a balanced diet. Now, there are tons of other diets out there that, and honestly, if you're diabetic, you might have no choice but to be on a low carb diet because of your insulin sensitivity. So there is some wiggle room here, but in general, carbs are not going to make you fat. Eating too many carbs or eating too much fat, those are the sorts of things that can lead to weight gain. Detox, Lord, okay. Our bodies are naturally equipped with systems like the liver, kidneys, and digestive system to detoxify and remove waste. While certain diets may promote temporary weight loss, they often, don't offer sustainable solutions and can be harmful. Now, I have a whole other presentation on gut health, so I'm not going to talk about that here because I see that as the smoking gun when people say we need a detox. Your body does a really good job at detoxing. Intermittent fasting, in my opinion, would be the better way to go rather than some sort of like apple cider vinegar, maple syrup, cayenne pepper, and water type detox. I hate that. Now, I will also say there's tons of research that shows that apple cider vinegar is great for you early in the morning with some water and lemon. Again, I'll talk about that later, but it's not a detox. Essentially, a detox diet is going to be when you're replacing the food you would normally eat with whatever the detox is telling you to do in order to remove toxins. Obviously, you see the side of the fence I'm on with that. I'm trying to be impartial here, but that's one that, I have to say that's a myth. Okay, so protein supplements are required for muscle growth. While protein is essential for muscle growth and repair, most people can get enough protein from a balanced diet without needing to turn to supplements. Although, if you're on a high protein diet or you need more protein, I drink a protein shake every day because it's just a little too difficult for me right now to get in all of the protein that I need. And if you're working and you don't have time to sit down and eat a meal, sometimes protein shakes are a great substitute. But they're not necessary for everybody. You don't have to have a protein shake. You can if you want to. Okay, just to kind of wrap this up a little bit, so we covered the basis of nutrition and how it's important to fitness. So we talked about macronutrients and micronutrients, so your carbs, fats, and protein. We talked about, vitamins and minerals. We talked about hydration and how much that you need to be drinking water in general. Talked about some of the myths, right? We just talked about that. We went over basal metabolic rate, so your maintenance calories, and then your total daily energy expenditure. So that's how many calories you should be eating based on your activity level, and then the calculator to figure out what's your BMR and what's your total daily expenditure. Now, I really hope that you guys can take everything that we covered so far and kind of use that as the first step towards creating a diet that suits you and your unique needs, and supports your fitness goals. And again, I'm just going to say this because I have to, but also because I truly believe it. While these guidelines can help you better understand your nutritional needs, keep in mind that individual requirements can vary greatly. Therefore, it's always a good idea to consult with a nutritionist or someone who specializes in nutrition, like myself. Ideally, working with your physician and your dietitian for advice tailored to your specific circumstances and goals. I'll give you guys a story real quick. I had somebody who I asked, I have a very long consultation form that I ask all my clients to fill out. Actually, myself and a colleague of mine who is a registered dietitian, her and I put together this questionnaire to make sure I was asking all the appropriate questions. And I asked things like, do you have any diet sensitivities? Is there anything that I should know while I'm creating this diet or this meal plan? I wrote his meal plan, I gave it to him, and I said, hey, consult with your doctor. He sent it to his doctor. His doctor actually emailed me and asked me to explain what I did. Now, obviously, the doctor can't talk to me about the patient, but professional to professional, I sent him what it was. I didn't hear back, right? It turns out that this client of mine was a diabetic, and he did not tell me that. Not that I gave him a crazy amount of carbs, but he came back to me. He's like, hey, my doctor pointed out that it looks like you didn't know, it looks like you didn't make a diet plan for diabetic. And I was like, no, why? Are you diabetic? Did you want a diabetic style meal plan? And he was like, yeah, I'm diabetic. And I'm going through his consultation form, and he didn't tell me that. And I was like, okay, no worries. Like, we'll fix it. And I was like, but take this new plan back to your doctor. And then he said my doctor endorsed it. He loved it. So, either way, make sure no matter who's writing your meal plan or your workout plan, make sure you take it back to your primary healthcare provider. Email them, whatever the case. Alright, everybody, so that was the wrap up. Right now, we're going to jump into Caleb Hall's presentation. I will let him introduce himself. He's going to get into more of the advanced side of things, but stay tuned till the end because we have a ton of things to give away and a ton of things to talk about moving forward. So, without further ado, here is Caleb Hall.
All right, so my name is Caleb Hall. I have 9 years of Marine Corps experience as well as 12 bodybuilding shows under my belt. I've coached multiple different athletes. I've only had one athlete ever not place in the top five at an NPC show. I'm also an assistant wrestling coach and a jiu-jitsu athlete. So I have plenty of experience with, weight manipulation as far as physique goes or as far as water weight goes, all kinds of different stuff. So, what I wanted to talk about today are just some things to elaborate upon what Jessie was teaching earlier in her nutritional section. So, there's many different kinds of diets that you can structure your program around, right? And I've heard a lot of myths about keto being magic or fasting being magic, and there's really no diet that's going to be super, advantageous to any individual more than any other diet would be. The main difference is going to be adherence. So if you can follow a diet, it's going to work, right? And if you structure it correctly, it's going to work. Now, each diet does have some advantages to it, right? So with the ketogenic diet, it's really good for people who have elevated blood glucose levels and elevated A1C levels. And it's actually been shown to reverse early onset non-genetic diabetes, right? And that's because you have no blood sugar that's in your body ever. So your pancreas does not have to secrete insulin, which eventually lowers your fasting blood glucose levels. And when your pancreas is always secreting insulin, it gets burned out. And that's how diabetes is created in non-genetic diabetes. Okay, so the best diet that you can follow, the one that you can adhere to, is going to be the best for you, right? If you're in a caloric deficit and you have a high protein intake, fats and carbs are really interchangeable. Okay, so it's going to depend on what your goals are. If you're a power lifter, you might need a higher carbohydrate intake and you might not need a fat intake. Now, fat is important because it helps regulate your hormone system, right? Men from super low fat diets suffer usually from low testosterone unless they're supplementing with exogenous testosterone, right? So you do have a minimum fat intake, and then your protein intake is very important. Carbohydrates can be manipulated up and down, um, and that's usually how I structure it. So all things being created equal, if you have two people that are the same size, same weight, height, age, gender, they should lose the same amount of weight on the same diet, right? But we know that not all things are created equal. You have genetic and you have hormonal differences in everybody. With our genetic differences, we're kind of stuck, right? There are some people who gain body fat a little bit easier. There's some people who don't gain body fat and they have higher BMRs naturally than other people were. And then there's other things that we can do to change those things to a minor degree. But your biggest differences are going to be hormonal differences. Okay, so if you're suffering from hyper or hypothyroidism, um, your pituitary gland or your thyroid gland is not secreting the T3 and T4 in the appropriate dosages that it should be. If you have higher body fat, then you're going to produce more estrogen naturally because the aromatase enzyme, which converts testosterone into estradiol, the bioactive form of estrogen, is found in body fat, right? So the more fat that you have, the easier it is for your body to convert things into estrogen. Now, estrogen is not terrible, especially in men. It has a huge function for neuroprotectiveness, libido, joint protection. And I think a lot of people think that estrogen is a bad thing. It's a good thing. You don't want to suppress your estrogen to a high degree, but as long as it's in normal ranges, right? We don't want any of our hormones to be too far outside of normal ranges. Definitely not to the lower side, but not too far to the higher side either. Okay, so with hormonal variations, there are certain things that you can do, right? So depending on your risk tolerance and your risk profile, there are people who will get on TRT. There are people who will need estrogen management. There's people who need thyroid medications. And then the peptide industry has been exploding. So the peptide industry mainly deals with injectable forms of things that are either mimicking something that would naturally be created in your body or they act as that chemical in your body. And a lot of them right now are focused on growth hormone and fat loss. But I want to urge everybody to focus on the drugs that have a high amount of research behind them in clinical human use. Okay. There's a lot of people who are taking things that they've been studied a lot in rats, or the studies in human trials showed too high of levels of toxicity. SARMs, especially, SARMs have not been studied for very long. We don't have a lot of human trials, and a lot of them failed the toxicity reports. So those are something that have no place for men and should be very carefully monitored in females, right? Um, that being said, everything that you take and do to your body is going to have some other feedback loop, right? So testosterone not only will shut down your endogenous testosterone production, but it can cause prostate growth. Um, Drugs that convert to prolactin can cause neurotoxicity. Um, there's all kinds of different feedback loops that are associated with all these things. Now, when it comes to weight loss and weight gain, I think that everybody tries to approach it as fast, a fast track route, right? But you don't want to play your cards all at once. Okay. And what I mean by that is we have several different variables that we can manipulate to help us achieve fat loss or muscle gain, weight gain, things like that. And if you play all of your variables at one time, then you have nowhere to go once you plateau. So if I start off on a crash diet where, my BMR might support 3,000 calories a day, and I go straight down to 1,500 calories a day and 45 minutes of cardio a day every day for a week, then I might lose a lot of weight in the first 4 to 6 weeks. But the body is very adaptive, right? If you go for a run, you'll notice in 2 weeks, you can get better at running very, very quickly. But if you run the same distance every day and at the same speed, you're not going to get better. Same thing with swimming, same thing with weightlifting. If I lift the same exact weights every day, um, same rep range, same weight, I'm going to progress, but then I'm going to reach a point where I don't. Well, it works the same way with weight loss and weight gain. Okay. So if I start off just dropping my calories by, 3 to 500, and then I add 10 minutes of cardio, 15 minutes of cardio a day, and I lose 2 to 3 pounds in a week, that's great. I don't want to manipulate my variables until I start to plateau or show signs that I'm really slowing down. Okay, so If you play all your variables at once, you're going to get stuck in a situation where you're going to set yourself up for a really bad rebound, or you're going to plateau pretty early because your body is going to adapt. Now, diets also are very dynamic, right? So some people will ask me, what are you eating? What are you doing? Because I want to look like you. Well, that won't change and be optimal for you, because what I've done has changed every, few months or every few weeks for the past couple of years. So, um, what happens is you have to structure your intake for a progression. Okay. So your BMR is going to be different than my BMR, right? And if you are a lighter weight, your BMR is going to drop, which is why you can follow a diet to a certain degree and you might drop to a certain weight, but then it has to change, right? Because your BMR is dropping. You don't need as many calories at 170 pounds as you did at 190 pounds. Okay. So as your BMR drops, you need to adjust. And then if you come off of a diet, a lot of people talk about how they gain weight when they come off their diet. Well, yeah, because diet is not a temporary solution. It's a lifestyle change. Okay, with ketogenic diets, going back to ketogenic diets, you experience a massive weight loss in the first week or two because you're losing a lot of water weight, right? Because when you eat carbohydrates, sodium, and water fill your muscles with glycogen. Okay, so you might have 6, 7 pounds, 8, 9 pounds, depending on how heavy you are, of water weight in your body at all times. And that's not a bad thing, right? Because glycogen is necessary for fuel, unless you're on a ketogenic diet and then you become fat adapted to ketones. But if you do that, you're gonna experience a massive weight loss because you're gonna lose all the glycogen because you're not taking in carbohydrates, which are necessary for glycogen. And then, you might lose an actual 2 pounds of body fat in the next week or two. And then if you quit ketogenic diets, you're going to gain a lot of weight back really quickly because you're filling those glycogen reserves back up, 5 to 10 pounds worth of water weight. Now, at the same time, if you're doing that and you're on a high fat diet and then you have a high carbohydrate diet or a high carbohydrate intake on a day that you have high fat, well, carbohydrates cause your insulin to spike. And if you have a lot of circulating dietary fat, it's going to cause that to be stored faster. Okay. So you typically don't want to have super high carbs and super high fats unless you're specifically trying to gain weight. Okay. And that's not going to lead to maximal muscle weight gain, but it's going to lead to just weight gain, which is typically seen in people who are extremely underweight or are powerlifting. So it's important that you know how to manipulate these different variables in a way that's going to be productive and sustainable. Okay. So hopefully that helps give you guys a few extra tips that you can utilize the information that Jessie gave you and progress on your weight loss or weight gain journeys. Thank you.
All right, everybody, that was Caleb Hall. I did want to note that Caleb does do online coaching, so he kind of got right into the meat and potatoes of the presentation, going through the different diets and going through the influence of certain performance-enhancing drugs and SARMs. However, if you are looking for an online coach, Caleb is amazing. So I did want to point out that if you head to his Instagram, which I'll leave a link to that below this video, you can hit him up, see if he's accepting clients. He is a phenomenal online trainer. I have personally gone to him for fitness advice. So I definitely recommend if you're looking to become an athlete, he is a great coach. But without further ado, let's jump into the last few minutes of this presentation because I have some amazing giveaways for you guys as a thank you for being here and making it, almost an hour in. So appreciate you guys. Let's get right to it. I did want to point this out. So I wrote a book called The End of Dieting, which is the science and psychology of sustainable weight loss, building lean muscle, and improving your overall health. So there's it comes as an ebook, it comes as a hard copy and a soft copy, but it's basically the culmination of all of my years of work in this field, combining scientific research, psychological insight, and practical strategies for long-term health and fitness success. My goal with this book was to give you everything that you need to improve your overall health. You can be your own trainer with this book, basically. And it's not like a novel that you have to read from start to finish. You just jump to the section that you're looking for. So The book talks about the science behind sustainable weight loss, the science behind muscle building, and overall health. I provide you with all of the latest research. In the back, I provide all my sources. I think there's like 12 pages of just references. I gave you everything that I used. But we're going to talk, it talks about the psychology of weight loss, exploring the role of motivation, stress, and other factors that can impact your fitness journey. I also give you a ton of tips. I put recipes in there, workouts. There is a ton of information. I give you a list of foods to choose from so you can make your own meal plan. So I think there's like 7 or 8 pages just listing food, whole foods and healthy food choices, along with some actual meals that I put together. And as a token of my appreciation for you guys being here, I am actually going to be discounting this. So the ebook is normally $19.99. I'm going to be giving it to you guys for $9. So a link for that will be below this video, so you can download this ebook for $9. If you want the physical copy, it's being sold on Amazon right now. But again, it's 50% off. And then I kind of wanted to jump into this. Now, I don't normally do one-on-one coaching. I'm very particular. There's actually an application process and a little bit of a waiting list for one-on-one coaching with me. But if you're looking to take a deeper dive into your health and fitness journey, I am going to be offering online training, one-on-one online training. But basically, I'm going to create you a personalized meal plan, a personalized workout plan. You get my cell phone number, so you text me whenever you need anything. We do check-ins, and it's like any other coaching, except it's only $75 a month, which is less than half. And I will get into that, but again, it's going to include personalized workout plans, nutritional advice based on, again, the latest research and what fits your needs. We're going to do check-ins every week, and then round-the-clock support. But let's go into some of the free stuff I want to give you guys today. So everyone after this webinar is going to get an email. So the webinar is going to be over in, it's 3 days long. So if you're on the 3rd day, you'll get the email tonight. I'm going to send you guys a free 8-week training guide that's going to walk you through the psychology of starting your fitness journey. And basically what this 8-week plan is to help you understand how to develop good habits. So it's going to walk you through just step by step, right? Because going from never working out to working out twice a day, or working, doing cardio and then strength training, that's a big jump for a lot of people. So I walk you through the micro steps and the strategies behind developing a positive behavior, and that is an 8-week plan. And you guys will get that for free. There's workouts in there. There's tons of information in there. It's kind of like a mini version of the end of dieting, but it's focused solely on developing good habits. Whether it's a fitness goal or whether you're just trying to meditate every morning, but you're having a really hard time getting up, this 8-week guide is going to teach you how to develop whatever habit you're looking to develop. And then the other thing I wanted to offer, and we'll just go to this next slide here. So normally my training is $100 a month, and that's on the low end. There's different tiers of training. Usually with me, training averages from $100 to $300. If you sign up today during this webinar, it's only going to be $75 a month, and that is an absolute steal. So for $75 a month, which honestly the industry average is closer to $200, you're also going to get access to the membership site. Now, my one-on-one training doesn't normally include the membership site. Membership site is normally for people who are doing their own thing or maybe working with another trainer and kind of just want a one-stop shop for all of the information that they're looking for, because Google is a bottomless pit. That's going to be absolutely free. And again, the 8-week training guide, which I normally sell that 8-week training guide for $25, it's going to be free. So you get all this stuff, so it's a $225 value for $75 a month. And again, you can cancel at any time. And obviously I'm going to be impartial to myself. I think I'm a fantastic trainer. And I've done a lot of group settings and then a lot of one-on-one. This will be a one-on-one online training. Your meal plan is tailored to you. I can give you just your macronutrients. I can write you actual meals and actual recipes. I also give you a shopping list, just to make it super simple so you don't forget anything. Your workout plan is whatever you want it to be. If you want cardio, home workout plan, and a gym workout plan, you can get all three. Either way, you'll get an overall lifestyle plan is what I like to call it. And again, you can cancel at any time. So if you just want to pay the $75 and get a copy of the plans, check out the membership site, and you decide, you know what, I'm good, I'll work with what I got, you can cancel it. You can absolutely cancel it, but right now, since we moved to the new platform and introduced the membership site, we haven't had any cancellations. Normally what happens is my clients graduate. I don't want to keep you forever, right? I want you to reach your goal. I want you to learn the things that you need to learn to maintain your fitness goal and to learn your body. And then after that, I call it a graduation. All of my clients graduate usually within a year. My clients are able to graduate. You get a care package from me to help you continue on with your journey. I've had clients who have gone from type 2 obesity, which is going to be about over 30% body fat, go from that type 2, severely obese, to on the stage competing and placing. So if you're interested in that, the link to that is going to be below. It's $75 a month, and all of that is included. And to end my rant here, this is my contact information. Again, I'm Dr. Jessie Virga. My contact, I just recommend you guys hit me up on Instagram. It's where I'm usually at. If you want to learn more about the online coaching, if you don't want to sign up right now, you want to come back before the webinar is over, go to mbfitnessusa.com, and all of the information on what I offer is there. And then MB Fitness also has Valkyrie supplements. So if you want to purchase supplements, protein or pre-workouts or vitamins, all of those things are going to be at our Valkyrie supplement store. The link to that can also be found at mbfitnessusa.com, or you can go directly to valkyriesubs.com. Again, thank you everybody for being here. This was a ton of information. I apologize. I don't apologize. It was great information. I hope you find it useful.